Roll it. Welcome to The Point.
So here we are yet again, another week of The Point, coming at you hard and heavy. You already know the two faces on your screen, so let's go ahead and jump right on in. So one of the things that happened just the other day, Friday Night SmackDown, that I thought was a pretty cool little deal, man. I know you saw it as well, or at least read about it. This whole thing with the Hardy Boys and the Broken Universe, they're local guys here, so of course, I'm big fans, but Jeff's kind of on his own now. Matt's doing the thing in AEW. So they've been running this angle, and it's kind of been the talk of the locker room in the WWE and the pro wrestling community. Everybody knows Jeff has struggled with his sobriety and with his drug addiction, things like that. Matt has too. But they've been running this storyline in WWE with Jeff and Sheamus. It really pushing hard into the addiction, the real life issues that Hardy's struggling with. And for those of you who don't know, Hardy just recently, for the very first time ever, went to inpatient rehab, and he's doing really, really well. He looks really well. He seems to be doing really good. And despite everyone's concerns, Jeff says he's okay with it. He's enjoying it. Well, on Friday Night SmackDown, they did this. I don't know if it's I don't know if you'd say it was a culmination of this feud, but they had a bar fight with Sheamus and Jeff. And I think it went, me personally, I think they made the best of it. I'm getting kind of tired of seeing this cinematic shit, but I think they did the best they could possibly do with it. But the biggest talking point, and I think it was very creative on WWE's part, or whoever's idea it was, to kind of take the attention away from the addiction. They did a spot where Jeff was down and out. Sheamus puts his hat over his face, goes and gets a Guinness, drinks the Guinness, comes back, takes the hat off of Jeff, and he is transformed into Brother Nero. And of course, spoiler alert, Jeff climbs the ladder, swanton, and pins Sheamus for the 1, 2, 3, stands up, closes his eyes, opens his eyes back up, and his eyes are back clear, and he stumbles off, limps off to the back of the bar. What do you think, man? Do you think we're going to see Brother Nero going forward, or they just use that for the bar scene?
I think that they're going to try to use it similar to the whole Bray Wyatt Fiend situation. Which, again, it's going to just be like how they screwed up the Broken Brilliance when they got it. We've already seen it. They're not going to give Jeff complete creative control over the situation to let him run with it, which would be best. He would make it work. He's already made it work once. So, I mean, it's basically, in my eyes, it's going to be viewed as another Bray Wyatt Fiend situation, and I don't think it's ever really going to flourish. There's rumors that they're going to give him a big push. What that push is going to be, who knows? But they had the opportunity when they had Matt and Jeff there to bring the entire situation to light, and they completely screwed it up. In my eyes, it's just a little too late.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, look, we all know, we talked about the Vince McMahon, the power trip, I guess you could say, of the ego, or the rewriting, the frustration with the rewriting of the shows at the last minute because he don't like what the writers come up with, and a bunch of just, I don't know, man. They screwed the pooch on the Broken Brilliance thing, and now Matt's gone, and now you're gonna try to use it, and it seems like a watered down version. Although it's cool, it's kind of like this culture we live in. It's kind of like when we were kids, you'd have this slow burn and this build, and then something would happen, and then later on down, you had this epic ordeal, like say the Four Horsemen, and then later in life you have a callback to it, and everybody's like, "Oh shit, yeah, Four Horsemen." Well, you can't do that in WWE with Broken Brilliance because you never really had it. So having this callback, the only people that know anything about the shit are Ring of Honor, TNA fans, stuff like that. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes, but I'm a Jeff and Matt Hardy fan, so of course I marked out just a little bit when I saw it. I actually rewatched it earlier before we started recording. So I think
Broken Brilliance. We've got a little bit of our own Broken Brilliance. It's occurred here recently, huh?
Yeah, it's coming.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned. It's definitely coming. But that's right. AOW, artswrestling.com. Check it out. Tomorrow night. Excuse me. Last night. You're watching now.
Yeah.
Go back and check it out. theartsofwrestling.com. It's right there on my man's shirt. So the next piece of business that I picked up on today, which of course for you that don't know, it's Monday that we're recording. It's actually Sunday night, Monday morning. Dak Prescott's in the news again.
Shocker.
This guy's kind of turning into a little bit of a prima donna, man. So consider the source. We have an anonymous source saying that this guy is a coach for the Dallas Cowboys, but he's anonymous, but we do know he's a coach. Says that Dak Prescott doesn't want to be on the Dallas Cowboys team anymore, that he's frustrated. Now, I want to ask you this. I don't know how in the hell he could be frustrated being a millionaire, but 99 problems and money ain't one. But let's go back to what we talked about last week with the whole thing with CM Punk and Conan, his comments, and Raven's comments. Is this another one of those things that's a leaked truth? Or is this somebody that is just literally shooting off at the mouth because they want attention?
Honestly, I see some truth in it. It's obviously not about the money. I mean, the guy's been offered, I think, almost $100 million contract already and turned it down.
Right.
So obviously it's the money isn't the issue. I don't know what the issue is. I mean, you're playing quarterback for one of the most popular teams in the NFL with one of the genuinely most nice and giving owners in the NFL. And you hand the ball off, even though I can't stand the guy personally, to one of the best running backs in the NFL. You've got a team around you, obviously can't lead that team. And you're trying to put your failures off on the team as a whole.
Right.
I mean, Tony Romo took that team to the freaking playoffs.
Message.
Without Ezekiel Elliott.
Message. Yeah, so, look, if you don't want to be there, only time's going to tell. That'll come out in due time. It sounds to me like he's doing a lot of bitching and complaining and popping off at the mouth, and people are picking up on that and using that to, someone. We all know when we were kids, you know how it is at school when you're little. You say something to somebody, talking to a buddy, thinking that it'll never be repeated. You're not even thinking that's a possibility, and then he tells somebody, they tell somebody, they tell somebody, and then boom. With this situation with the NFL being America's team, quote unquote, the Dallas Cowboys, the media gets a whiff of any kind of shit like that. Of course, they're going to run with it. Hell, here we are talking about it too. So probably amounts to nothing, but we'll see. Now, I got to give a shout out real quick to Kyle Hendricks, Major League Baseball, Chicago Cubs pitcher. Homeboy pitched a 9+ strikeout, no walk shutout on opening day for the Cubs the other day. And, man, that hasn't happened since 1968. So big shout out to Kyle Hendricks. Pitched his ass off, apparently. And I didn't catch the game because I sort of boycotting that right now.
Yeah, it hurts, man, because everybody knows that I was a huge Cubs fan. I was so excited to be able to finally. I mean, there have been 2 generations of people that didn't get to see a Cubs World Series win, and I got to see that.
Right.
But now with them taking their stupid political stance, Major League Baseball, you are no longer America's pastime. I will go with freaking golf.
Golf?
It's the only sport in the world where you can whack your balls and play with your putter in public and nobody gets offended.
And take a nap.
And drink beer and drive a golf cart.
Legally.
That's America's pastime right there. Drink beer, drive automobiles, whack your balls, play with your putter. That is America. If I had a friend that was foreign and I was describing America, I would say golf.
There you go. As you know, I do live in the golf capital of the country. So we know a thing or two about golf around here, let me tell you. But me personally, I'd rather watch paint dry.
I think I'm number 2 right behind you because we've got Muirfield right down the street from my house where they do the memorial every year.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So
I've been to the memorial quite a few times and sat there and watched John Daly get hammered and launch 500- and 600-yard drives.
right. I have personally worked 3 U.S. Open golf championships, and the last particular time I worked security for Rolex at the clubhouse, and it was an amazing experience, I guess, if you're a golf fan and you know who the hell any of these people are. But I've always been a basketball, football guy, so for me, seeing Jordan Spieth walk by me and have his little business meetings and stuff like that, it was cool, but what are you gonna do? So the other thing that popped up is the rumors are starting to swirl about WrestleMania next year. I don't know if we're even going to have a WrestleMania next year like we've grown accustomed to, or if it's going to be something else like the Tampa Bay fiasco this past year where it had to be moved to the Performance Center where everything else has emanated from since in regards to World Wrestling Entertainment. But reports are swirling around that coming up here at SummerSlam, Randy Orton will be possibly facing Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship. And to take that a step further, the word around the campfire is it's possible that Orton would go over on McIntyre and become the WWE Champion at SummerSlam. And the thinking and thought process behind this, and I can understand if I'm behind the scenes of WWE, I'm torn on this idea. Me personally, as a fan, I'm a huge Randy Orton mark, always have been, even though he is a dick or was. Guy's gifted beyond belief, and so is Drew McIntyre. And me personally, I'd love to see that match. But I think it should probably end, in my mind, it should end something like a draw. And then at Royal Rumble, stretch it out a little bit further if you're going to have Randy Orton go over. really kind of bleed this thing dry, squeeze this blood out of the turnip. But the idea from what I'm seeing in the reports is that they're setting up Randy Orton and Edge at WrestleMania for next year. Edge to make his comeback from the tricep tear or whatever it was. Yeah, I think it was a tricep. Or what was it? Was it tricep?
I believe so, yes.
Right. Right arm or something like that. But, he should be coming back around that time. Now, let me hear your thoughts. Do you derail Drew McIntyre's momentum at SummerSlam, or do you start the feud without taking the title off?
I mean, it's time to move on from some of these, old timers, quote unquote. I know Randy Orton's not that old, but
not at all.
The problem with Randy Orton is he's too inconsistent, whether it be with injuries, performance, or attitude. And that's why he hasn't been a main eventer as much as like a John Cena or somebody like that. The guy that's always getting himself into something, whether it's an injury or his attitude dropping him back. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do when WWE has an issue like they Impact did with Tessa Blanchard? You have a champion, and one day he gets pissed off and just walks out on the company, and there you go. You've got a real live CM Punk moment.
Well, you do know Randy Orton just re-signed a big contract not too long ago, and he's locked in, so there wouldn't be any more of that Twitter shit. But I see your point. And on the other end, I could see the mind frame of Vince McMahon and WWE from a money standpoint. With COVID and everything that's going on right now, you don't have the crowds, which we should have crowds back by SummerSlam. It's a good possibility. But Drew McIntyre, we don't know how much Drew McIntyre is actually selling right now. I would choose to believe. I think he got shitted on at WrestleMania because, honest to God, man, he got robbed of that reaction, that pop, that build for Drew McIntyre. I haven't seen anything like that since Batista, Triple H at WrestleMania Goes Hollywood, man. So we haven't really got to see just exactly how hard he's selling and how hard the crowd's popping for him. But Randy Orton is a tried and true merchandise, all that. And let's not forget, WWE is merchandise driven. They are driven by the almighty dollar. Randy Orton sells the hell out of merchandise. You throw the Viper on anything, or Legend Killer, or any number of his catchphrases or monikers, shit's gonna sell. Now, Drew McIntyre, he's well on his damn way, but I think the point I'm trying to drive home is, let's not take the title off of McIntyre at SummerSlam. Let's have them have their first match, have it end in a DQ, have it, no clean finish, and let's revisit this shit at, say, Royal Rumble, right? Or even a pay-per-view between SummerSlam and the Royal Rumble, and then have the rubber match at the Royal Rumble, and let Randy and Edge start building from that point to WrestleMania. You got a hell of a good 4 months there to build a story.
Honestly, I don't think that they should do any title changes at this point until we have fans in attendance, because it makes that moment feel hokey now.
Yeah, it does.
You can, in theory, let me say that, in theory, you can build a story for at least that long. I mean, we all know that come November, odds are this virus thing is going to go bye-bye, and we're going to be moved on to the next flavor of the month, i.e. school shootings, because, there's only 4 pages in the liberal handbook. But
don't forget about the murder hornets.
No, we passed that.
One of them did a drive-by right here in my neighborhood earlier today, man. Crazy.
Yeah. They figured out that there's too much raid out in the world, and just quick squirt of raid, and it's all done and over with. So that one there wasn't really believable. So, now we're muddying the waters. We're trying to do too much at once. We've got everything in the world that doesn't agree with our stance as racist and a scamdemic all in one. So odds are, coming up next, we're going to have school shootings and, everybody that makes more than $100,000 a year is touching other people inappropriately all at the same time.
Let's hope it's not. Let's cross our fingers on the school shootings. I don't want to see no more of that shit.
No, I hope we move on to something else. Like, let's do something fun, for once. Let's,
unicorn farts or something.
How about for once we try something like acting like freaking Americans, for crying out loud. I mean, that sounds exciting. That would be big news. Well, for some places that would be big news. You wouldn't want to hear that on CNN because then then being American is racist.
True story.
That's my soft core rant of the day.
Soft core.
Yeah.
But we'll get into it a little bit harder here on the backside of the break here in seconds.
God.
But yeah, we'll jump into it a little bit because shit needs to be talked about. We're gonna talk about it. But until then, it's that time. It's time for the split. It's time for the break. So let's do that. Come back on the flip. Jump back in hard and heavy. Get back into the hard-hitting news that you all love and adore. See you in a few.
Join us next week for another action-packed episode of The Point.
All right, everybody, we're back from the quick break. Let's jump right back into it. Haystacks, my man, have you heard MLB? The season fired back up finally, right? Apparently, MLB is going to be, they released a statement saying that they were going to be using virtual fans at these MLB games. Have you watched any of the MLB games so far?
I have not.
I haven't either, but
I was going to watch opening day, and when I saw the things that the Cubs were doing, and a few of the other teams, it automatically turned me off. I absolutely refuse to give them a second of my rating.
Fair enough. But apparently they're talking about using the virtual fans. And the quote from one of the higher-ups was, "We believe that what we're doing is creating a natural viewing experience. Sports is supposed to be an escape. And when people have that escape, we want it to feel as normal as possible when there's very little normalcy, like a crowd at a baseball game on Saturday." Now, that is totally contradictory to what they're doing because we want some sense of normalcy. We want an escape. We don't want to see politics.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Isn't that ironic that you just completely... That's how the liberal mind works.
Yeah.
You ever heard the saying that if you tell a lie enough times, it becomes the truth?
Yes. Yeah, I was married to her. So, virtual fans at MLB games, not a fan. I'm not a fan of the kneeling shit. But hey, to each their own. And I'm all about people's opinions, and this ain't Fox News or CNN by any means, but you can't come out and say, all right, this is an escape, this is for entertainment, this is for fun, this is to get away, and then you got everybody out there kneeling and you're using virtual fans and all this. So anyway, moving the hell on from that story, because that's a non-factor because I won't be watching the shit. WWE is possibly bringing back a classic Attitude Era faction. And before I talk about this story, I got to touch on this because this is something that kind of gets under my skin when it comes to professional wrestling. Can we get away from the era bullshit? Can we get away from the calling everything an error? This kind of goes back to the broken-hearted shit we were talking about earlier, living on the fame of something that happened. It was good. It happened, the Attitude Era. And then it was the women's era, and it's the new era, and then it's the this era and the that era. Just do what you do and quit trying to put a label on the shit. I thought we lived in a culture where we weren't trying to label everything. But the story is that the Nation of Domination, if you haven't seen, you'd have to be blind as a bat or dumber than hell not to understand what I'm talking about. They brought Ron Simmons in, got this MVP Lashley thing, which anybody and everybody can tell that shit's almost to a boiling point already. And then you had Shelton Benjamin take out R-Truth for the 24/7 title. So now you got Shelton Benjamin, which is, I love the guy. You got MVP, love the guy. Lashley, love the guy. And you saw on one of the last shows, I think it was Monday Night Raw, where they brought in Ron Simmons, and Ron approached him backstage and said there was other ways to do things, and they all fist bumped. So let me get your opinion on this, man. I'm kind of excited to see the Nation of Domination back, and considering what's going on in the world right now, it's smart on Vince's part to do that to make that money. But what do you think about this bringing back old shit?
With the Nation of Domination in today's culture, I'm a fan. I know everybody out there right now, shocker. But here's where I'm going to draw the line. All right. If you bring back the actual Nation of Domination, they come to the ring, they throw a fist in the air, they do the Jesse Owens. Hey, do it to it. At least maybe then WWE will set a precedent that, yes, this is scripted. Yes, this is possibly, I don't know Ron Simmons. I don't know any of these guys personally. I've never followed any of these guys. I've never seen them on Twitter give their opinion one way or the other on their movement. So, yes, this may not be their personal feeling. But I swear hand to God, Mary, Jesus, and Joseph, if Vince McMahon turns this version of the Nation of Domination and they start kneeling for the American flag to try to get a pop, WWE can kiss my whole ass right on the whole part. That's where I draw my line. If you want to do, like I said, like Jesse Owens, throw a fist in the air like in the 90s, absolutely. I am 100% down for a Nation of Domination. But if you go with current political viewpoints and you go that far just to get a pop and to get some ratings, I don't think Vince would go that far. I mean, everybody knows that Vince and Donald Trump are very good friends. Vince's wife, Linda, is in Donald Trump's cabinet.
Right.
I don't think that he would push it that far, but you never know how desperate Vince is going to get for a damn pop.
Here's my take on it. Short, sweet, to the point is we need an African-American faction, in my personal opinion. You have
Absolutely.
New Day. You have the New Day, and the New Day's great. They have a lot of fans and a lot of fan base. But I think the New Day, which basically at this point is just Big E and Kofi because of the injury to my man. But, Xavier's out right now, and it's kind of flailing, or at least he was. I'm not sure if he's back yet or not. I'm pretty sure he's not. But, that's a little different. Those, I think those are better. I think Big E, we've talked about this before, Big E needs a push. Kofi, I think they're better as singles competitors. I think they're more more impactful on their own as far as selling merchandise and the almighty dollar. Again, they're better for Vince as New Day. But I would love to see an African-American faction back. And what better way to do it than the Nation of Domination, especially given the political atmosphere that we're living in. But I agree with you 100%.
Let me say this. And, for the love of God, if anybody in WWE creative that happens to catch wind of this through Twitter or whatever, I want to give you a freebie from a fan, since we're supposedly listening to fans. For the love of God, have Big E turn on Kofi and go heel and start the Nation of Domination. The guy has the look. He has the size. He obviously is a fan favorite, so if you turn him heel against Kofi and start a Nation of Domination, he's going to have massive heel heat, and he is way overdue for a WWE or Universal Championship run. That guy has been there forever and a day, and he's been relegated to being the lackey for the Women's Champion, the lackey for the Intercontinental Champion, the laughing stock for the New Day. The guy has put in the work. He's done his due diligence for this company. He is overdue for a damn run. And this is the way right here in this current culture to where Big E can sell it.
Well, here's the thing you have to look at. Again, from a creative standpoint, from a fan standpoint, that's perfect. That's perfect. From a business standpoint, from a money standpoint, New Day versus something you're not sure it'll work or not. New Day is selling unicorn horns. They're selling T-shirts. They're selling fake pancakes, fake cereal. Yeah, you name it. The merchandise is through the roof, and they're one of the top merch people.
Here's my thinking. As a businessman myself, everybody doesn't know. I've been in retail management quite a while. I know how to grow a business. So you already have the connection with the New Day and the pancakes and the cereal, right?
Right.
We currently are in a culture where we just removed Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben. So you already have that intersecting. Put Big E's face on a fake bottle of syrup or on a fake box of cereal and make fun of the Aunt Jemima, Uncle Ben situation. Bada bing, bada boom, problem solved.
Are you talking about for New Day or Nation of Domination?
For Nation of Domination, it'd be a heel move. If they just removed it, you put this man's face on this, and you're basically doing a heel move of saying, okay, you want cancel culture, we're going to uncancel the culture, and we're going to make money off of it.
Interesting concept. So we'll see how that plays out, because I think you're right, man. I mean, you exploit the popularity of New Day, and you possibly carry over the merch sales in the same time. So we'll see what happens on that. So we'll tag them up and see if they pay attention to it. Now, one of the other things that came out this week was Big Show. Big Show had made a comment that caught some interest on the airwaves, if you will, and the dirt sheets of the internet. Big Show had made the comment that he would rather have his head crushed by a car than become a WWE producer when talking about possible afterlife, if you will, after his professional wrestling in-ring career. He made the comment that he would rather have his head put on the pavement and the car backed over than to be a producer. Shit was blown out of context. Basically, what he was basically referring to is he was putting over the producers of WWE, saying that the stuff that they go through and the work that they have to go through on a daily basis, is over the top, and he don't want any part of it just for that reason. You and I both know the Big Show is going to be a part of WWE backstage for a long time after he's done wrestling his in-ring career. So,
good thing about the Big Show is he's been in this business and with this company a very long time, and that's not by accident. He sees the life expectancy of a superstar, and he sees the life expectancy of a coach / trainer. compared to that of a producer. I mean, when they done these COVID-19 cutbacks, the first people that went was half their creative team and half their producers backstage.
Absolutely.
They're expendable people. Everybody on God's green earth has an idea that they can sell. But to go in there and be 7 foot tall, 400 pounds, and to be able to teach young wrestlers almost 30 years of the business, you can't just go to any street corner and find that.
No, not at all. Not at all. So I thought that was an interesting bit. But the next big story, and we've been covering this, so I thought it was really important to highlight this particular piece of news that popped up. Mike Tyson's comeback. It's officially happened. His first exhibition match is set up September 12th against Roy Jones Jr. Tyson, who's 54 years of age, he'll fight Roy Jones Jr. in an 8-round exhibition on September 12th at Dignity Health Sports Park in Carson, California. The bout will be broadcast on pay-per-view as well as multimedia platform Triller. Never heard of it? According to a news release, Triller will also show a 10-part docu-series leading up to the bout. Tyson was quoted this week as saying, I'm sorry?
Because that's the big thing to do right now.
Absolutely. Tyson was quoted this past week as saying, when he was asked why, he says, because I can. And I believe other people can do it too. Just because we're 54 doesn't mean that we have to start a new career and our lives are totally over. It's not when you feel as beautiful as I do. And I'm sure that other people feel the same way. Let's get it on, man. So Tyson Roy Jones Jr. I don't know much about Roy Jones Jr., but I know a lot about Mike Tyson, and I'm willing to bet the first bout, let's be honest, Tyson's going to be a little rusty, right? He's not going to look as pretty as he did back in the day, but I'm thinking he's going to shock the world. Not that anybody should be shocked, but if he goes full Mike Tyson,
it's going to be interesting, man. Roy Jones got some quick hands. He's got some very quick hands. I'm curious to see this match, in all honesty. And can I just say, the Mike Tyson of old, of eating people's ears and talking about killing people or eating people's kids, to today.
yeah.
Bravo to Mike Tyson for finally getting a head on his shoulders and being a freaking businessman.
Yeah. Absolutely. Hoorah, man. Man, has he come full circle or what?
It's amazing, man. It really is. And doing all this, most of this, doing it for charity nonetheless. If you had told me this 20 years ago, I would have laughed at you.
Absolutely, man. Look, I'm a 40-year-old man, out of shape. He's 54 years old and went through everything he went through. You got to respect anyone at that age that's willing to climb back in the ring and get popped in the head. He did say, though, he made the comment in that interview that, Tyson didn't take a lot of shots back in the day because, hell, he was the one giving out the punishment. So his longevity, he's still got some go in him. Because he didn't take all the abuse that some of these other guys do. So,
including his phantom knockout from Buster Douglas.
We won't talk about that, but yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. But
watched that match so many different times, dude. That punch did not make contact. I don't care what anybody says.
If it did, it was minimal, to say the least. Now, another topic that one of your favorite topics, one of my favorite topics. There's a football team north of me and southeast of you that changing their name. They will now be referred to. Are you ready? Drum roll, please. They will now be referred to as the Washington football team. No longer the Foreskins.
I really hope that they do a fan vote, because there is there is a lot of momentum growing on the internet and especially Twitter for them to change their name to the Washington Orange Skins and have Donald Trump's face be their mascot. So NFL and Washington Redskins football organization, please put it to a fan vote, because you want to screw with America. Eventually, America is going to screw you right back.
No, I'm perfectly good with the Washington football team. I think it's creative as hell. I think it's, I don't know who came up with that, but they're a damn genius. Washington football team. Whoever came up with that name needs a raise. God bless them, man. The creativity, well, I don't know how many nights of sleep they lost coming up with that shit, but God bless them, man. I mean, that's
Here's the
pure genius.
situation that they're stuck in, which I think is absolutely hilarious, and I wish I would have thought of it. Some guy bought out every single one. I think we covered this either last week or the week before. Some guy bought the copyright to every single possible name that they were thinking about using.
Oh, yeah.
And he said that he'll give it to him for free, which legally he can't, as we have recently come to learn. Stay tuned.
Hey, LOL.
Everybody wants to see fireworks. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
But man, this whole thing is just stupid. The Cleveland Indians are doing it too. This next game I saw, unfortunately, I've tried to take every single one of my news, sports news things off of Facebook because I'm sick of seeing it. But the Cleveland Indians wore their away jerseys to their first home game, because on the front of the jersey it just says Cleveland. It doesn't say Indians. Their home games say Indians on it. So they wore their road jerseys to their piss off.
Right. So did you, you know, again, it's whatever, man. It's whatever. So some news came out this week talking again about the professional wrestling world. Eric Young, for those of you who don't know who EY, him and ODB and several others in TNA, they just epic runs in TNA. Eric Young playing, of course, the crazy over-the-top, mentally challenged character. But he had a stint. He went NXT, and him and a couple other guys were called up to the main roster, as does a lot of people, and everything went to shit shortly thereafter. Well, Eric Young has came out. If you don't know, he's returned to TNA. Has come out this week and straight up blasting. I mean, just straight up blasting WWE, I'm happy for him. And the information that came out, I'm glad he did. Hearing what he's talking about and what he's been saying, it needs to be heard for people that are up and coming in the pro wrestling world that think WWE is the end all be all. And I mean, you may make more money there and have more exposure. But you need to hear the good, the bad, the ugly. That goes with any decision you make in life, whether it be a relationship, a job, buying a car, whatever it is. Some of the things he said was that, and I'm paraphrasing here, not quoting, but he said that everyone there is a carbon copy of each other. He said every day you come in and it's a cluster F. Nobody knows what the hell's going on from 1 minute to the next. He said there's a set of rules, what you can say, what you can't say, what you can do, what you can't do, on screen, behind the scene. He said, nobody tells you what those things are, and they change on a daily basis, right? He said there's zero communication and tons and tons and tons of don'ts. And he said the breaking point for him was sitting outside of Vince McMahon's office, waiting to talk to him just a second. And he said, I waited and waited and waited. And I said, after waiting a little while, I said, to hell with it. He said, I'm not waiting for 4 hours. He said, I'm not the greatest thing in the world, but I am Eric Young. I've established myself. I'm not sitting in the hallway outside of catering, outside of Vince McMahon's office for 4 hours to get maybe 5 minutes of shit in just for him to look at me and go, eh. He said there were several things that he brought to Vince's attention that Vince said, oh, okay. He said nothing ever came of it. Nothing was ever said, nothing. So I kind of feel Eric Young on this, man. I mean, I definitely feel him. How many times you people out there working a job? How many times have you had a problem with somebody or a problem with a situation or how something was getting done and you took it to your manager and your manager just blows you off? So, man, I've been hearing this a lot more coming from behind the scenes as Vince McMahon gets a little bit up there in age, that he's not only changing everything. You've heard it, Scotty, hell, we just talked about it. You got a whole team of writers that bust their ass all coming up with this script for the show. And then Vince, 9 times out of 10, takes it, redoes it himself. So at that point, are the writers, or are they just a brainstorming thing for him to take ideas from?
Oh, look, here's the thing. I'm going to name a few names that were successful in either Ring of Honor or Impact that went to WWE and got completely lost in the fold. Eric Young being the first. Bobby Roode.
Yeah.
EC3. James Storm.
2 seconds.
If you have got guys that are major stars in a company the size of Impact Wrestling, with the issues that they had with spawning from the NWA to Jeff Jarrett completely losing his mind to Dixie Carter completely bankrupting the company to where they are now. You know, we've said it a million times. We just said it earlier today. They had the Broken Brilliance gimmick and screwed it. You had an established gimmick and storyline and shit the whole bed.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you didn't shart. You had the Hershey squirts and then, like, had night tremors in it.
Backstroking.
I mean,
yeah, look.
Everybody wants to blame, everybody in the wrestling business always wants to say, well, it's the creative team's job to come up with the idea. It's the wrestler's idea to sell it. Okay, so how is it that they can sell it for a rinky-dink-ass company like Impact, but they can't sell it in a multi-billion-dollar corporation like WWE?
Because they didn't want to. Now, the Broken Brilliance thing, I understand at the beginning there was a legal battle. But once it came to fruition that Matt had the rights to the Broken Brilliance, then they should have ran like hell with it. And by the time they used it, they just used a little piece here and a little piece here. And, it was shit. At that point, it lost all momentum and all steam. If they'd have gave Matt the creative freedom that he needed, he would have knocked it out of the park. Hell, that's where it all came from. But, TNA, they just had a pay-per-view. and their heavyweight title looked a little weird. And then we found out shortly thereafter why that title looked weird. It was the old Wildcat title, and it was all white leather.
I was excited for a whole 15 seconds until I hit the old Twitterverse and found out that they were using a knockoff.
Yeah. From eBay.
From eBay.
That's right. But hey, of course, this begs, of course, Tessa Blanchard and all that shit, and this is why she should have never been in that predicament, you know, being a heavyweight champion and all that stuff in the crossover. That's treat the men and women equal. Yes, have their own divisions that are the same. Yes, but this crossing over, I've never been a fan of intergender wrestling ever. But yeah, I know. Oh shit. But nobody wants to watch a man. If it's not acceptable for a man to beat the hell out of a woman, it shouldn't be acceptable for a man to beat the hell out of a woman. You get what I'm going with there? You get where I'm going? Picking up what I'm putting down. Because in a wrestling match, the woman don't just beat the guy. It's a wrestling match, and they have to bump each other. So that's how it works. So, and the last time I checked, bumping uglies wasn't going to cut it on national TV. So, yeah, you heard me correct.
We've seen it for 6 weeks with Lana and Bobby Lashley.
True. But so that was a little bit of a cluster F. But that begs the question, and I know it's been brought up and talked about in wrestling belt community, collectors community. Was it a fake? Because if it's a fake from eBay and it was used on TV, then I guess at that point it's actual championship. I mean, it's not the championship, but I mean, last tough guy talk about. We got about 3 minutes to cover this, and we'll hit it hard and heavy before we get off here. And I dropped the point on that ass. Mike Ditka.
Yeah.
Mike Ditka. Now, it remains to be seen whether or not he's forced to backtrack on these comments, as we all saw with Drew Brees. But Mike Ditka had some very strong words in a video he put out there on the social media world about the kneelers during the anthem. Simply put, he told all the athletes that were kneeling to get the hell out of the country.
Yeah.
So what do you think is going to happen with that?
Hopefully they get the hell out of the damn country.
Well, these are the same people that said when Trump was elected, they would leave the country, and they didn't. And these are the same people that said Donald Trump was going to destroy the country, and he didn't, but they are literally now destroying the country. So, again, up is down, down is up, right is left is right. All I know is Trump 2020.
I want to see somebody sign Mike Ditka as a head coach.
You see that video?
I did.
Homeboy's looking kind of rough.
Just for my amusement. Just solely for my amusement. I want somebody to sign Mike Ditka as a coach somewhere, and then sign Colin Crapper Dick to his team.
You know what that sounds like? That sounds like main event next year's WrestleMania.
That sounds like a hell of a good time, is what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, it does. Oil and vinegar.
Look, whether you guys like it or not, I know the loony left and all you social justice keyboard warriors, you wanna scream equality. guess what? Equality comes as equal. That means that you can say whatever stupid shit you want to say, and we can think that you're stupid as hell, which we do. And we can say whatever the hell we want to say, even if it hurts your mangina, since we're not being gender specific here.
True story.
I was going somewhere with that and I completely lost it. Damn.
But in the words of a famous man or wise man that I once knew, my mentor told me a long time ago, years ago, hell, probably been 20 years ago now, told me simply put, if you got sand in it, go out back, grab the water hose, turn it on, spray it out, and get you some rags and soak them in kerosene and tie them around your ankles so the ants can't crawl up your leg and get to it. So other than that, nobody gives a shit.
Yeah. Like I said, man, you know, you want equality, you know, take equality. And the biggest thing that we've seen the last few weeks is be careful what you wish for because you just might get it. It's an old saying from back in the day. I know everybody wants to forget about the good old days, but we don't talk politics and happenings too much here, but all you dumbasses that are out there saying, defund the police, that are now bitching because the military is coming in and snatching your bitch asses up and not saying, hey, we're here to snatch you, police.
Yeah.
Congratulations, dumbass. This is what happens when you defund the police and you now have a government state.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny about all that?
The whole effing situation.
I'll tell you what's funny. There's not one person from the military involved in it.
Nope.
ALE, ATF, FBI, those are your federal officers. There's no troops involved. So everybody can go to bed tonight, lay your head on your little pillow. You can call it what you want. You can split hairs, but your ass is going to get got. And with that, speaking of getting got, Arts of Wrestling.
FBI, ATF, CIA agents that are out there snatching these goofy little bastards up and not identifying yourself and throwing them in unmarked vans and hopefully driving them over and delivering them to the freaking Mexican cartels. Thank you.
Let them go down there and stay for a little bit, see how it works out.
To all the police out here that your local city council and your mayors and all of these douchebag senators and representatives are trying to defund you guys for doing your job and are criminalizing you guys because your mayor and your city council says, hey, we're going to approve this technique of putting a knee on a guy to keep him down and then turn around and trying you for murder when they're the ones that approve the technique. Thank you. To all you mayors and city councilmen that are writing these laws and then you're trying to wipe your hands clean.
Word. So, with that being said, the time has come for you.
If everybody doesn't know, while I talk all this shit, if you're sitting here thinking, old Haystacks is just a tobacco chewing hillbilly that's living out in the middle of the country and he don't see the hard times That was the local crackhead that forgets that his dope dealer lives right next door to me. It's about the 5th time this week that he's got the houses confused because, you know, I live in the hood, but I don't know nothing about that life, right? But anyway, go ahead and wrap up. I apologize, everybody. Talking point for the end of this show.
Back to your regularly scheduled program. So as always,
we are live. There is no there is no cookie cutter bullshit. Yes, you just witnessed a real life crackhead knock on my door for the 3rd time this week because dumb fucker don't know where in the hell his dealer is.
You gotta love it, man. America. Yeah, you gotta love it. So it's time. It's time. I can't let you have all the fun because it's time to drop the point on that ass, and it's my turn. And I'm gonna drop it. I'm gonna put it on. The Haystacks, as always, brother, it's been a blast. Even the crackhead, I wish you'd have let him come on screen for a second so we could have got his name, but we could have made him famous.
I didn't think that quick. You know, I was thinking maybe somebody would have watched one of our episodes and was coming to take me out. Maybe I was going to get Clinton or something.
Hey, and with that, I'm out. See you next week.
Everybody, real quick. I am in perfect mind and have absolutely no illusions or thoughts of harming myself at the making of this video.
Documented right here. Ladies and gentlemen, the point's coming up. Haystacks, it's been a pleasure. And as always, my face hurts, but I got to go handle some business, baby. But holla at you. Ladies and gentlemen, the end of another great episode. Episode 25 of The Point. As you can see, anything can happen. Even Barney, the local crackhead, can show up at your door. Just a little confused the way he's getting that next hit. Damn, what a country we live in. Ladies and gentlemen, stay up, stay positive, put a smile on that damn face, do something good, pay it forward for the love of God, and go over and check out theartsofwrestling.com. Now, what is the point for this week? It has begun. It has begun. We are slowly creeping back into the sports world, and whatever the hell that entails, I don't know. But simply put, we're going to be along for the ride. We're going to be right here, joined at the hip, right here with you guys, giving you the fun, giving you the news, giving you everything we got. And until next week, on episode 26, it's been your boy. Now, check out the Twitter, check out the Facebook, check out the YouTube, like, share, comment, all that. I got to roll.
Thank you for watching The Point.
Goodbye, cruel world.